it's Demi here, and today I just want to cut to the chase and talk to you about stress. So I'm not going to do a rambly intro, let's just get straight into it. So I have been going through a pretty stressful period at the moment, and it's been making me think a lot. Please subscribe. I'll give you 2 seconds right now. Stop. I'd love it if you subscribed. Do it. It'll make me happy. Why not? Oh my gosh. Also, as Lionel Richie on the American Idol channel says, subscribe below.
Subscribe below.
Okay, do it for Lionel. Do it for my golden glowing hand. Subscribe. Subscribe. You know you want to do it. Subscribe. I have been going through a pretty stressful period at the moment, and it's been making me think a lot about the fact that a lot of people go through stressful periods all the time, and I know a lot about how stress affects the body, particularly the menstrual cycle, but I know that a lot of other people don't have that knowledge about how stress can impact their menstrual cycle and then how they can prevent it from impacting their everyday life, and how they can minimize the effects of stress. Now, it's like the sun's setting and you can see the sun shining on my thing, so sorry about this situation here. We'll just have to ignore it. So the bottom line is that stress impacts your period. We can't get away from that. And the reason for that is that our stress hormones, they fight essentially in the body with our period hormones. Now, we have our stress hormones, which are adrenaline and cortisol, and they help to control our stress responses. And then we've got our period hormones. Examples of those are estrogen and progesterone. And to put it simply, when we're stressed, these two kinds of hormones, stress hormones and period hormones, fight with each other in the body. They fight for resources and they fight for priority. And what ends up happening is that our stress hormones win. The reason for that is because in times of stress, our body sees it or perceives it like we're in danger. And if we're in danger, we need to be kept safe. If it's a life or death situation, we need to prioritize the stress response to keep us safe, and that's why our period suffers. So let me back up a little bit and explain that a little bit further. Have you heard of the body's fight or flight response? If you haven't, it's something that you need to know about. So let me explain. The body's fight or flight response is a response your body has to emergency or danger or a threat. So for instance, if you were being chased by something or about to be in a car accident, your body's going to have a response to that, and your body's physiological response is to keep you safe, or is designed to keep you safe. So for instance, our heart might beat faster to pump more blood around the body to get that blood to your skeletal muscles so that you're able to run away quicker if you were being chased by a tiger. That is the most common example that is used. We might also start to sweat or shake. We feel our heart pounding in our chest. We might find it more difficult to breathe, or we might be breathing really heavily. And all of those responses by the body are there to keep you safe. For instance, if you'd come home from a long day of work and you collapsed on your bed because you're so tired, but then the next minute a fire starts and you need to run out of the house, well then your cortisol and adrenaline and your stress response from your body is going to take over, and you're going to forget that you're tired and you're going to get yourself to safety. And so stress and the stress response can be a really good thing. The problem is that nowadays too many of us are too stressed too much of the time, and so that fight or flight response is constantly being activated. Hey guys, so I'm just gonna jump in here and interrupt. I wanted to let you know that the body's fight or flight response is controlled by our sympathetic nervous system. Now, our sympathetic nervous system is in charge of initiating that fight or flight response to keep us safe, and it's switched on when our brain perceives we're in danger. There's also our parasympathetic nervous system, which instead of being associated with fight or flight, it's associated with rest and digest. And that is where our period hormones and our reproductive function falls, in that parasympathetic rest and digest state. If we are in the fight or flight state too much of the time and not the rest and digest state where our reproductive function is prioritized and not the rest and digest state, then our body isn't able to give priority and energy to our period hormones, and that's when we start to see things like PMS, period pain, really heavy bleeding, acne, periods that are completely irregular. That's when our period starts to suffer. We want to spend less time in fight or flight and more time in rest and digest. So we want to calm down our parasympathetic nervous system so the sympathetic nervous system can take control majority of the time. Bottom line is, if we're too stressed too much of the time, our period is going to suffer. An example of that is that the month of my wedding, I was supposed to get my period on my wedding day, and I've told this story a few times before, and I had a really tight white dress. So tight white dress plus period plus your wedding is not a good time. And so I was okay with getting my period. I was like, whatever, if it happens, it happens. But I didn't end up getting my period, and I thought I was super prepared for the wedding and I wasn't stressed, but I didn't get my period on my wedding day, and I didn't get it a week after, and I didn't get it 10 days after. I actually got it 2 weeks after my wedding, which 2 weeks after I should have got my period. And after that cycle, it went back to normal, my normal 28, 29 days. It was a one-off situation, but that was my period showing me, telling me that I was more stressed than what I thought I was in the lead up to the wedding. And that can happen. What happens is that if your body perceives that it's in danger, its top priority isn't to digest your lunch or prepare to have a baby. Its priority is to get itself to safety. So our period hormone production is deprioritized, and our stress response is prioritized. Where it becomes difficult is that even though our fight or flight response is activated when we're in danger, even non-life-threatening situations can be perceived as the brain by emergency and danger, and then cause that fight or flight reaction to happen. So, for instance, let's talk about public speaking. Think about public speaking and think about a situation where you're being chased by a tiger or being chased by someone who wants to hurt you, for instance. But I don't want to go too dark there. But think about it, in both situations, you have a very similar physiological response. So your heart might start beating faster. You might start to sweat. Think about when you have to give a speech. You might start to sweat. You might start to breathe heavy or find it harder to breathe. In both of those situations where your life's in danger because you're being chased, or when your life's not in danger but you're just nervous because you have to give a talk in front of a crowd, the same or very similar response happens. Even little things in our lives like being blocked from a group chat, or where you've got a bunch of deadlines at work or at school and you don't know how to get everything done within the time frame that you have. All of those things, even though they're not life-threatening, can really impact your body. Your brain perceives them as danger. You have a physiological response. Your period hormones get deprioritized and your hormone balance suffers. And then when your hormone balance suffers, you are way more likely to experience PMS, period pain, acne even, more heavy periods, more irregular periods, so you might have a longer cycle like I did on the week of my wedding, or your period might go missing altogether. It might come and be super duper heavy, or it might come and it come with more pain than usual. This month I've been stressed, and I've noticed on my period chart because I usually will chart my basal body temperature and my cervical fluid. And how to do that and why to do that is all in my ebook. If you wanted to read more about it, I highly recommend every single woman in the world to do it because it's so eye-opening. It helps you to be in touch with your body and in tune with things that nobody ever tells you about your own body that you can go years and years not knowing. Anyway, I digress. My chart, my basal body temperature chart and my cervical fluid chart were a little bit difficult to read this month because they weren't so textbook. So usually I would notice a really clear temperature shift, and my menstrual cycle is pretty textbook, like 28 or 29 days, doesn't come along with too many symptoms. This month I wasn't able to see a clear temperature shift. My cervical fluid was a bit all over the place and my period was like 4 days late, which may not seem like that much to some people. It was definitely out of the ordinary for me. So that's a moment for me to stop and for me to go, wow, look at my period chart. Look what my menstrual cycle is revealing to me. I'm stressed to the point where it's affecting my body. It's impacting my period. It's impacting my reproductive system. And I think it's so amazing and really beautiful that your menstrual cycle is able to give you that feedback, to be able to be like, whoa, girl, hold on. Look, you can see it on the chart. You can see it on the numbers. You're stressed and it's having an effect on your body. You need to change something, you need to do something, you need to take care of me better, maybe connect with a professional, connect with whoever it is, deal with your stuff, deal with your stress so that the impact that it has on your body, my body, our bodies doesn't continue to get worse, because that's when it can impact your long-term fertility. And period pain just sucks. Like, no one wants that. I'm gonna readjust the camera so I'm not in the light anymore. There we go. If you wanna learn more about stress and its impact on your hormones, I highly, with all my heart, highly recommend Nat Kringoudis' e-course called Debunking Stress. It will take you through in more depth what I've just talked about, understanding the science behind stress and why it impacts your hormones, what hormones in particular it does impact, and then how you can actually go about getting on top of it and making the changes you need to make in order to make sure that the stress doesn't get the better of you, that you can take control of it, because it's really important to take control of it. I think that today we are way too okay with being overworked and overstressed and not giving ourselves enough rest time, especially as women. So invest in yourself. I highly recommend getting Nat's e-course Debunking Stress, and I'll leave the link for that in the description below. Another exciting thing, and this deserves a drum roll, so cue drum roll. There is going to be new pages released in my ebook about stress, about a whole lot of things. There are a whole bunch of new ebook pages being released very soon. So it's a little bit of a secret, but I'll let you guys in on it. Paperback version of the book is coming. The paperback version of the book is coming, and I'm doing a completely new relaunch with a new front cover, new designs, new pages with new content. The ebook will be updated, and you'll also be able to get it as paperback so that you can buy it, have the physical copy. You can read it with your kids. You can read it if you're an adult on the beach instead of having to look on your phone if you're a paper gal and not a digital gal when it comes to reading. I'm really excited for that. I will have a date for you guys really soon, and information about how you can potentially pre-order or where you can get it from. So that's something to look forward to and something that I've been working on really hard for you girls. I love working on this ebook because I believe that every girl deserves to have this knowledge in her hands, available for her to read and not be kept in the dark about all of these things, because we just don't learn them. No one teaches us, and that's not fair. So I want to teach you and make sure that you have the knowledge you need to have your best health possible. All right, Bride Girls, make sure to go follow me on Instagram If you are not already, we learn a lot about periods over there. So highly recommend you joining the Bright Girl fam on Instagram, and I'll see you in my next video. Okay, this video is over. Mwah.